So I like a factoid. I like one what you go, I think I know that's true, but then you try it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know it's impossible to lick your elbow. Because then you go, I kind of get that, and then you go, but maybe it's not.
Oh, it's weird how it's like get further.
Am I there? Am I close?
No, that's the thing. It's like also you know. Yeah. We've been in Korea for like going on 5 years.
Yeah.
On cha 5th year. So kind of I guess in your perspective, it's not like an objective thing, but what are the ways Korea's kind of changed most in the time that you've been here and I've been here?
I guess it's super interesting for us, like when we did the interview with Dwayne, who's been here for 25 years.
Yeah.
And that feels like two different worlds.
Yeah.
And I think when we came, we could feel, I don't know if Korea was necessarily at a point where it was changing, but we could definitely feel that we came at a time where, for us, it felt like there were two different Koreas. The old Korea, the new Korea.
See, yeah.
In terms of a lot of things we were kind of curious about and we wanted to kind of explore. These kind of this generational gap, and they're both in some ways are kind of what makes Korea amazing.
Right. Old and new.
Old and new. And I think it's what's really very, very interesting is this area.
Right.
When we first moved here, they were like, this used to be the train line. People who lived there literally lived on the back of a train, and now it's like this beautiful park that you can walk down. And so that was built pre-us.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that even when we moved here, in terms of like coffee shops, for instance, there was Unicus.
Right.
You could go to Yeonnidong for manufactured coffee.
Right.
But outside of that, there wasn't many coffee shops, and that's something that's very interesting is how many coffee shops have opened and closed, rebranded, like 3 different coffee shops come into one different place, and now it's like a glasses place, or something, you know, it's like becomes like a random thing, or trends that suddenly spring up, and like I mean, this time last summer that mango place was booming, and you go past now and it's like, it just doesn't look that busy.
Wow.
And that's the thing that I've kind of perceived, even in such a short period, how well something can do in Korea, and how quickly it can kind of like fall off the edge.
Right.
Like just become yesterday's thing.
Right. Wow. The boss, the guy who kind of owns our office space, said something really beautiful last year when we were at Underdog. And he was like, one of the reasons I really like Underdog is Korea is so trend-driven. In some ways, the kind of biggest example of that is the coffee shop culture, and the way coffee shops are so like edgy and trendy and Instagrammable and cool and all this like hot, they say like hot place, right? But he was saying like he loves the fact that Underdog could look the way it is like 10 years ago or 10 years in the future or 50 years in the future, and it wouldn't feel any like more or less in or out of trend. It's just a comfortable space, nice coffee, nice owner.
You always know what you're getting. It's,
yes.
Yeah, it's just sustains.
And he said there's something like, sometimes you can lose that a little bit.
Big time.
And I don't know, maybe it's because we're like getting old. But I sometimes feel a bit like drawn towards those places a little bit.
Sure.
It's really interesting because they ask the question about Korea. It's really, I find it really difficult to talk about like Korea or even Seoul. Like it feels like it's a particular area and the way we've experienced that area. But yeah, so for me, I think the biggest thing, and this has been over the 10 years since I actually, the first time we came to Korea was 10 years ago, right? But since then, but even in this 5-year period, the amount of, not just Korea becoming more multicultural in terms of like foreigners.
Yeah.
Because I think there's still a lot of areas in Seoul where you don't see many foreigners.
Sure.
Still a lot of areas, I think, around the country that you don't. But the way things like foreign food, and it's not like, oh, now there's this authentic spaghetti house. Like you get in London, it's like they're all run by Italian people or run by Indian restaurants. It's not really like that. It's like they bring innovation. So you'll get some sort of like fusion. Or it'll be like Italian food, but cooked by a Korean chef who's like really creative. And it'll actually it won't be like authentic in that sense, but it'll be like really delicious.
Sure.
Or or more modern, or you know, and I think that's a kind of combination of like multiculturalism and Korean culture kind of like coming together. And there's like
big time
beautiful aspects of that,
yeah.
especially in food, I've noticed.
The thing that's interesting for me is, with regards to that, is Korean culture being what it is in terms of its kind of, we do something, we don't just do something, we do it the best, or we don't just do something, we become the best at it,
right,
you know, that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
And you see that in coffee culture,
right.
and like
craft beer as well.
Craft beer.
Yeah.
These are concepts that were barely around,
yeah.
and now they're kind of,
yeah. Yeah.
you know, they're kind of really doing very well, or they're kind of, you know, some of the coffee I have here. I went back to London, man. I was like, oh, I just want to go down to some of the, even Underdog. It was just like, I just
right.
wanted that.
Right. Wow.
Like kind of quality in that level, and
wow.
I think like the burger scene. I love burgers. I'm not American, but I do love a burger.
Burger scene.
Burgers. Yeah, the burger scene in Yeonnam is
NorCal.
really boosted. But it's like, but I think you've got a lot of people that, you know, Koreans, especially in the last 5 years,
yeah.
in the same way that we're experiencing Korea from coming out of the UK.
Yeah.
I think they're experiencing the UK, or they're experiencing America, and I think this is a time, the last 10, 20 years of Koreans really experiencing the world.
Yeah.
And now us living in Korea are now experiencing their experience of the world.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying in terms of the fusion stuff. And so they're bringing it back and they're making it for Korean people.
Yeah.
But they're also aware of what their palate is like within the Western world. And
wow. Yeah.
that's, those two things coming together are really fascinating. And I think we're kind of blessed by that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, as lovers of Korean food, but as also just lovers of
food in general.
Food.
Yeah.
I felt 5 years ago, I felt like everything was Korean food.
Yeah.
And then maybe there was like a okay burger place.
Yeah.
Or a pizza place.
Yeah.
But now it's, especially in this area as well, I mean, there's like so I think it's been around for a little while, but there's like pie, sausage rolls, you know, there's a sausage roll place pie place in Mangwon.
Yeah.
Like I went to some of the best Indian food that I've had in Seongsu.
Wow.
You know, and it's the levels are like, and the quality of the ingredients is like wow.
Right.
Right. And the real cheeseburger, that place I'm just obsessed with.
Wow.
I'm trying to diet at the moment, so
only cheeseburgers. So
cancel my pedal, but take my phone away from me. But it's good. It's just so satisfying. And I'm like, I was back in the UK and I'd had it honest again, and I was like, it was really good, but it wasn't. Ironically, the kimchi burger that they did was phenomenal, but it was like, I had patty and bun. I love patty and bun, and it was like, you know, it was like now I'm experiencing these things in Korea, and I'm like missing them. Right. And these are the things that I enjoyed in London. So I find that incredibly fascinating. Yeah. It's just that emotionally what that does.
There's something really special about food because it is like can be purely functional. Yeah. As in, like, it could be purely functional. Like, food that didn't taste of anything but was nutritionally good would still serve your body in the same way, and yet I'm really convinced it's supposed to be something we enjoy and that we take joy in. Yeah, and so, like, when you get amazing Korean food, but then now you also get amazing hamburgers, you know, pizzas, and it's like, what a blessing, because you can find very simple and great joy in food, I think.
There's things that, not that I want Korea to become like the UK, I'm never saying that. No. But if there was one thing that I'd like to see more of, I think that would be like kind of Middle Eastern food within Korea. Yeah. There's, I think, 2 places, but they don't feel like what I want, which is like big meze or a big platter, or like just, you know, I'm going to my local Turkish or Greek or Lebanese or you know, falafel. Like for me in the UK, falafel wrap would be a standard. Yeah. And I'm not saying, you know, like it's kind of like bunshik in some ways here, like because every high street has one, you know. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. And the one they put the one chili in it. It's the pickled chili, and it just offsets it. Everything. It's just like garlic sauce, spicy, chili sauce. Yeah. Oh.
You want chili garlic sauce, brother?
Yes.
My friend?
My friend. Hello, my friend.
It's interesting that you said about, you don't, in order for your experience of living here to like be how you want it to be, it's not like it has to become more like the UK or more like anywhere else necessarily.
Because otherwise I just live in the UK.
Right, right. I don't think I could live in every country. But I like to think if I go to another country, I want to experience the beautiful fact that it's the beauty of like the diversity compared to my culture. And even in the UK or even within Korea, right? It's like we go to Busan or we go to Jeju or we go to anywhere and we experience like why it's different from Seoul. We don't go there and we're like, where's Gangwon-tong, Haeundae-jeom? We're like, we just want like the Busan kimbap or the Hue or something.
And I think it's interesting that we've talked about food because Korea is very a food culture. I think other things, if you talk about Korean food, how Korean food's changed, I think there has been like a more of a push towards like stuff like Iberico is like a big thing. Iberico pork in
but within the Korean
style,
it
just tastes phenomenal.
The best food innovations, in my opinion, I've ever seen is taking Spanish Iberico and cooking it in the Korean barbecue way. Yeah.
It's like the opposite of doing something bad.
Right.
It's like perfecting something that's already very good. It's like, what? How have you done that?
That's so true. Wow.
Yeah. But it's interesting that we've gone to food, and I guess maybe that's because, from my perspective, like socially or politically, we haven't talked about how has Korea changed politically, socially. But I think because a big way that we interact with this city is, I wouldn't say it's surface level, but it's quite observational.
Right.
And I think those are the big. Would you agree? I think like you probably have a bit of more of an understanding being married to a Korean. And
I think what's interesting is like, I think it's really important, like, if you vote, like who you vote for, and like actually making those decisions like in a discerning way as you can, or in a way that's like, if you can do it in a selfless way, I think that's really, really helpful and stuff like that, in a way that's not just for your benefit or whatever, One thing I love about Hyunji is that even though, like, when the election's on, she's quite invested in it in terms of what and she stayed up most of the night looking at the results and stuff. And yet afterwards, or before and after, she's like, ultimately, like, it's not that's happened, therefore my life's changed, good or bad.
Right.
Or the person I wanted to become, great, or the person that I didn't want. It's like, I'm going to try to live my life and look after my family in this way, regardless.
Sure.
Nothing's changed in that.
Yeah,
and I'm really like, that really actually inspires me as like a principle. And that's not a political thing. I don't want anyone to take that in a political way.
Sure.
But I love it when people do live like that. Because it also shows that you don't have to let something like take away your ability to experience joy, experience peace, experience good relationships, friendships, good food. So
I guess one of the biggest changes over the last 5 years is not Korea itself, but us within Korea.
Right.
I think and how it's grown us. And given us the opportunity to do that, find out more about Korean culture. Change our tastes. We go through kind of trends, don't we? What's your favourite food? When? Last week? This week? Tomorrow? Evening? Summer?
Well, I've had
winter?
sop kimbap every day since you've been away, and now I don't want to eat it again for 6 months. Maybe we could do a video. How have we changed since we came to Korea? Or,
how have we changed?
Or how has Korea changed us or something in 5 years?
Let's do it. The more you think about it, the more frustrating it becomes, because I really feel like suddenly my elbow gets really dry. It's like, and I'm never going to be able to lick it. Not that...
The only way of making it not dry, even when you have a shower, the only way to do it is...
It is bizarre, isn't it? It's like I can see it. Is there a part of your body you never see? I guess there is. You can never just see your back.
Yeah.
Imagine before mirrors existed.
Oh my days.
How do people see their back?
Or metal. Do you reckon metal came first and people were like,
came first?
Like before mirrors, and then they saw.
I guess you still have water.
Water.
Metal,
That would have been water. Yeah.
Reflection, and then glass, which is made out of sand, as we all know.
Sandy glass.
Gosh.
Right?
Oh. It just doesn't make any sense because sand isn't is opaque.
Yeah, it's like
Generally
it's
speaking.
grainy, and glass isn't grainy. It's just pure, isn't it?